listening to the Theology of Games podcast, your source for gaming news, reviews, and interviews with the top voices in the industry. Find us online at theologyofgames.com. And now, here are your hosts, Scott Firestone and Jeremiah Isley.
All right, welcome to the Theology of Games podcast, everybody. I am your host, Jeremiah Isley. I'm one of your hosts, but you may notice that sort of flying solo, because normally by now I have said, and this is, and then Scott Firestone goes, Scott Firestone? That's my Scott Firestone impersonation. But he's not here right now. He's been out traveling and doing other things deemed more important than the podcast. That's not true. He's got some family stuff going on. I don't know what it is, but he's out of town. He's traveling. But it just so happens, as luck would have it, I am joined today by a very special guest. Sitting right next to me on my right hand is Mr. AJ Skifstad. Say hi, AJ.
Hi.
So AJ, this is actually kind of a cool thing that's going on here. And we'll talk about that in just a second. AJ, who are you?
Well, I'm AJ. AJ Skifstad is my name. And I've been friends with you, Jeremiah. Gosh.
Too long.
Too long to remember now.
Far too long.
But in any case, we kind of grew up going to the same church together, played some music together. I played in his band. He's played in bands with me. So that's been kind of cool. And if you haven't noticed by now, music is part of my background. I'm a music teacher, but I also am the worship director at a church as well. But, you know, my main hobby is definitely gaming when I'm not playing music or teaching, you know, kids. So
I was going to say, you better bring it around to gaming, because this is like a gaming podcast.
Yeah.
So people are going to be like, what's this guy talking about music for?
Yeah.
So music, gaming.
See, you don't even know what podcast you're doing now.
I don't even know. I don't do a music podcast, so that's really bad. But so tell me, gaming. You and I have played games for just about as long as I can remember. But how did you get into gaming? Like, what was your first love when it came to gaming? Oh gosh,
first love when it came to gaming. See, and it's funny. I don't even remember. I started by playing some gateway games, the classics that you would know of as like Settlers and Carcassonne. And so don't boo me for that right away if you've been into gaming for a long time and thinking, oh, that's what got you in. It is, though. And I think I played a lot of them with you, but
yeah, we used to play some Catan and Carcassonne back in the day. We also played a lot of Pirates back in the day.
Oh, man. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I've almost lost friendships over Pirates.
Pirates. WizKids Pirates. Man, I still just look at some of those on eBay sometimes to see if they're worth anything. But that definitely brings up a good point into what got me into gaming. We started searching for the things that we really enjoyed, like just a lot of the themes that we enjoyed, and it just so happened that a lot of them were dead games, like the Lord of the Rings trading card game, the Star Trek trading card game, and I guess that my first love was those trading card games when I was growing up, like the Star Wars Decipher. And when we found these dead games, we thought, let's throw a lot of money at these and then never play them.
Yeah, we have vast collections. You and I both. Vast collections of some dead games that we used to actually play quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Theology of Games kind of started up, and I kept getting more and more board games, and we've had less and less time for those old dead games, which is kind of sad.
That's true.
But, life goes on.
Yeah.
I guess they're dead for a reason.
Sometimes I look at them every now and then and think, why do I still have these? But
because someday they will find their way to the table. I always make the excuse that my kids someday will like find them and be like, Dad, why can't we play this? And I'll be like, we can play this. And we'll have like this amazing weekend of playing Pirates.
That's
or
right.
Star Trek or whatever. I tell that to myself just to justify keeping boxes and boxes of those games.
That's the pirate ships for sure. That's why I'm keeping those.
You're not just here because I needed somebody as a co-host, which I did. Thanks a lot, Firestone. But you're here because we're kind of announcing something cool and new that's happening with Theology of Games. Mm-hmm. And that is, we are adding somebody to our writing staff, and that's you.
Yeah.
So we just talked about this a little bit, but go ahead and tell the listeners what that means and what you're going to be doing for Theology of Games here.
Okay. So basically, I'm going to be writing little excerpts on some of the new stuff that's coming out, some of the news articles that we see about games coming out, and getting any sort of the leaks that we hear about new things. And so I'll be kind of screening some of the new stuff and adding my input that way. Anytime we see a new Kickstarter or something like that too that looks like it's going to be promising, I'll be writing about that. And as always, I add my input to Jeremiah's reviews before he goes ahead and do them. And I help play some of those games too.
Yeah, so a lot of times when I'm doing a review, whether it's on the blog or on my other podcast, that's how I roll. AJ is probably the one person out of like 2 or 3 that I game with the most. And so we are always discussing the game, kind of like critically playing games when we play games together, because typically if we're playing a game, it's something that I have to review. So your input and your knowledge of the gaming hobby is really high. Like you're always kind of like my go-to when it comes to learning new games and things like that. And you've been to Origins with me almost as many times as I've gone. I think there's maybe been 1 year that you missed.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed doing Origins with you too, because whenever we're demoing a game or somebody's teaching us a game, like you always seem to know the right question to ask somebody. Like, well, what about this or what about that? Like you really kind of hone in on the things that might be a blind spot when they're teaching a game to somebody. So I feel like you've got a good eye for that. I feel like you're the one person that's always sending me like, hey, look at this Kickstarter. Hey, look at this. This is coming out or whatever. So you've kind of already put your finger on the pulse of the gaming community. And I'm looking forward to having you become part of the voice of Theology of Games and helping us keep content fresh and moving in the world of Theology of Games.
Well, that's awesome, because it sounds like you just said what I'm doing way better than the way I described it. So
yeah, no, it'll be great. And it's just one of those things where Scott and I were talking, and it's like, we got to bring on some more voices and some more people to kind of help us out as we continue to grow this thing. Theology of Games has definitely grown beyond what Scott and I can do kind of on our own. And if we want to see it take the next step, we really need to bring quality people in, people that we trust too. So that's definitely where you come on board as well.
Awesome. I'm glad to be here.
By the way, we're recording this. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's actually Memorial Day itself. So I wanted to take a second before we go any further and just say thank you to any of those who might be listening who have served our country or are currently serving in the armed forces, military, police, fire, whatever it may be. Your service and your sacrifice does not go unrecognized by myself, by Scott, by AJ, I'm sure. We truly appreciate that. AJ and I have both been affected by this. It was a very dear friend of ours that we lost in the line of service a few years ago. And so on this Memorial Day, we really, really want to just take a time to say thank you. And we love and appreciate all of you for all that you do for us.
Absolutely. Yep. That
being said, how was your weekend? What'd you do?
Oh, it was a great weekend. We had a picnic with my side of the family yesterday, and we actually hosted at my house, so that's always fun.
Nice.
And kind of crazy having a bunch of people in your house.
Your family is probably the definition of crazy. Like, you people know how to get down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then you have another party the next day at the other side of the family, and they're just as crazy. My wife Rachel's side of the family they're nuts, but she's not going to listen to this, so it's not going to matter that I said that.
You can say what you want. Yeah, wives don't listen to podcasts.
How about you? What did you guys do?
We had a great weekend. What was it? Well, Friday, my weekend started with about 14 hours of work. The Lock 3 season, if you live in the area, if you Google it, Lock 3 in Akron, big outdoor venue. And we had a Heart tribute band playing there. And so I was mixing monitors all weekend, or all day Friday for that. We had about, I don't know, probably 3,000 people there.
Wow.
So it was a really good turnout because the weather, it actually ended up being really nice. Then Saturday we had a little bonfire, had some families over from the boys' school, and they ran around in the big backyard, which was just a lot of fun.
Oh, I saw those pictures. That was cool. Yeah.
The hay rides without the hay. We've got this like lawn tractor, the John Deere with the little trailer that we piled, like, I don't know, 9 kids in that thing. I pulled them around the 2 acres, and yeah, it was a good time.
Yep, just a bunch of hillbillies riding around on a mower. That was all it was.
Yeah, neighbors don't care. It's fine. And then Sunday we did my parents. We had a family birthday party that we went to for a little bit, and then we went to my parents and ate a lot of really good food. And then today we spent some time with my wife's side, and then I came home and you were here and we played some games, and now we're recording a podcast. So it has been very, 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 very full, busy weekend, but it's been a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Speaking of that, I think that's what you call a good segue.
Absolutely.
Talk about playing some games here. So let's just go through some of the games that we've been playing recently. Okay. And, we'll just talk a little bit about what's awesome about those, or maybe what's not awesome about those. But do you want to let's hand this off to you? You just take this one and roll with it.
Yeah, games I've been playing recently, a lot of old school stuff. And when I say old school, I mean old school. Like, I busted out the Crokinole board, and yeah, I've been playing that a lot with friends and family over the past couple weekends. And that's just a game that you just can pull out, and everybody wants to sit down at the table and flick a disc or two.
Yeah, every time somebody sees it, they're like, what is that?
Yeah,
they want to get down and get in on that action.
And the funny thing about it, it's that game that just kind of it's on the verge or on the fringe of, is this a board game or what is this? And
yeah, it's almost like a bar game. Like, I could see like a bunch of like scurvy pirates sitting around a table and flicking discs around, and then like punching each other because they thought somebody cheated.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
pretty much like that.
Yeah. So definitely, that's one I've been playing. I've also been, I played Puerto Rico a couple times, another oldie but a goodie. And that game, man, it just does not get old. I love it. It's so much fun, and I don't know, it's just a classic in every sense.
It's been such a long time since I've played that. I think I have the mobile version of that.
Yeah.
And it's classic Euro.
The mechanisms are just so solid, and there's nothing that really falls apart for me in that game that I just feel like it's a broken mechanism, or I just don't like the way that plays. It's just balanced. And
it's pretty solid.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've been playing some other stuff, but what about you?
Let's see. I actually, until tonight, I hadn't had a whole lot of time to play games. Just because of the show that I was doing. So it's a children's theater that I work for, and a spring show is always kind of like the younger kid show that they do. So we were doing this production of Junie B. Jones is Not a Crook. Mm-hmm. And in like 2.5 weeks, we did 32 performances.
Wow.
So I know you know what I'm talking about, because every time you text me, hey, let's hang out, let's play games, let's do this. Yeah. I'm like, no, I can't.
And you know what was happening? I was really playing games every time that you said
I know
no.
you
I
were.
No
I
joke.
was so mad.
No
I was
joke.
like, oh, I wish I could, but it just wasn't meant to be. But I did. Yesterday we played some Sequence, which is like old school kind of classic board/card game. I don't know. Have you ever played Sequence?
Oh yeah, it's got the number. It's got the actual
it's got the
playing cards
like,
on the board.
Yeah, on the board.
Oh, absolutely.
And you put the poker chips down. You just try to get like 5 in a row or whatever. And my mom has like the jumbo Sequence. She got it for us too. I think I have it around here somewhere.
Somewhere in this room.
But it's like in this like giant like 6-inch wide like poster tube looking thing.
Oh yeah.
And it's got a big mat that rolls out. It smells really bad like vinyl.
So unnecessary.
Yes, completely. We call it old people Sequence because like everything's big so you can see it. Because like I guess the original one, it's just a small board and it has little pictures all over it. Anyway, so I played Sequence yesterday like 2 or 3 times and had a lot of fun with that. I think we played some 5 Crowns too. Oh, we did.
Oh man, no.
Because I destroyed everybody in that, even though there is no skill to that game at all. It is completely luck. And I love it because you have to play. It's like 11 hands or something like that.
Yep.
And by the time you get to like the 8th hand, half the people are out of it. Like their scores are so run up that there's no way they can climb their way back into.
So you're just sitting there being dead weight for the rest of the game.
Exactly.
I can't stand
it's like
games
being
that do
drugged
that.
along. It's like, here, I'm going to throw this chain around your ankle, and we're going to drive around town for about 3 more hours.
Yep.
Just because you got into this game.
Oh, I hate countdown games like that.
Yeah, it's so terrible. But tonight we played Yokohama, finally, which is... Actually, I really liked it, even though I totally lost. Like, it was like a 20-point destruction.
You were crushed.
I was crushed. But it was a lot of fun. And we'll talk about it a little more here just coming up. But I played that. We played that, and then we played Shahrazad.
I think that's how you say it. That's pretty good.
It, which isn't that like something from like Arabian Nights or whatever?
I don't know.
I'm totally unread when it comes to that. Which is just, it's a 1 or 2 player game, which I thought was interesting. And it really doesn't play much different from solo to 2 player.
No, not too much.
But it's co-op, and it's this little like tile placement. And it's, when I first read about it, I was like, oh, is this like a storytelling game? Like, am I going to have to like create a story as we play and things like that? And it's not really at all. It's just basically tile placement. And it all has to do with like numbers and colors of the tiles and stuff like that. But that one I thought, and I said this to you right after we got done playing, I said, I feel like this is probably really great as a solo game.
Yeah.
And would be really good as an app, like as a mobile game. It's fine as a actual board game. The tiles are really well made. The artwork's really cool, that kind of thing. But it just seems like it would lend itself really, really well to being a mobile app. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Did you think that?
Well, yeah. I just think it's one of those games that if I'm playing a 2-player game, I don't think I'm going to bust that one out off my shelf. There's plenty of other games that I might want to play, but as a solo game, if I'm getting home from work or something,
yeah, it's a little puzzly,
and I want to decompress and just kind of play a game and not have to stress out about anything.
Right.
That's something I might play. So like an app would be perfect, but I gotta say the components are fantastic. It's just tiles, but the tiles are gorgeous.
They're great. They're like a bigger tile. The artwork on them, the backing on them, everything about it just looks amazing. It's really, really well done. But yeah, it definitely and as a solo game, there's nothing to set up. You just take the tiles out and start playing, basically. Yeah. Which is nice, and it's a super easy, like filler game. Totally. If it took us 15 minutes to play it, I would be surprised. It was really, really fast. I don't know that it's super challenging.
Well, the way we came down on it was right in the mid range. The way they base it is how well you told this story and how well your numbers were sequential, and we fell right in the mid range of the scoring. We weren't,
and I felt like we weren't trying super hard.
Yeah,
I felt like we really weren't stewing over what decision to make or what tile to play or what to do. So I felt like if we played it again, we'd probably really nail it and score a lot higher.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Yokohama. Because Yokohama was, I keep seeing pictures of it all over Instagram. It's an overwhelming game at first.
Yeah.
Like, cause you pull it out and everything's modular. So there's like a ton of like these location boards and player boards and markers and tokens and resource tokens and money tokens and cubes and your president and there's a lot going on in this game. Although mechanically there isn't much to it. Your turn consists of placing either 3 cubes, which are your workers, on 3 different locations, or 2 in 1. Then you move your president to one of those locations, do the action there, that'll give you some sort of reward or whatever, and then you take back the workers that you placed on that one that you used. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But the trick is making all of those things work so you score points and you move up on certain tracks and finding all the ways to make that work to the end game to where you score more points than the other players.
Yeah, definitely. It's got a lot going on, and we talked about this beforehand. And if you played Istanbul, it's very similar. There's a lot of different tiles with a lot of different actions.
Right.
And it also has like a colonist type feel too. If you played Colonist, where you're moving from location to location, but you really can't skip locations unless your associate's already there. Or is it assistant? Assistant, I think, is what it was.
Yeah.
And but basically that's all you're doing. It's a I don't know. It's just a more powerful worker placement. You ramp up each location before you actually send your president there. And then the more workers you have there, the better the output is from that location.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought, like I said, I thought mechanically I grabbed it super fast. I was like, okay, if I want more out of this location, I got to build that up a little more before I go there. And then I get, more resources that are produced or more whatever. The thing that got overwhelming to me was trying to make it linear to where I need to do this, to do this, to do that, and that will score me a whole bunch of points, and that's good. And by the time I figured that out, the game had already gotten away from me. Now, second time around, I'm sure I'll be much quicker on that, and I'll know, I really need to focus on this, or I need to focus on that. But it's a point salad. There's a lot of ways to score points. And I think the cool thing about it, which is also kind of the tough thing about it, is the replayability is awesome because it's completely different every time. Because there's different cards that get played down on the locations that give different bonuses. The locations come out in different order, which is important because you actually have to travel from location to location. You can't just go, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. So I think the replay value is super, super high because of that, but it's super intimidating to approach with a really slow kind of learning curve. But all that said, it's a really solid game. Yeah,
and if you're playing it with gamers, it's going to be no problem at all for them to pick up. But what did you think of the theme, though? I know for myself, it really, it just doesn't speak to me that much. It's Industrial Revolution, Japan, and you're an entrepreneur trying to gain goods, export goods, manage resources. And, we've seen it all before, and now they just taken it and they put it in Japan. Doesn't do it for me. What about you?
Theme wise, I was intrigued by it. That was one of the things that I knew about it going into it was, okay, like there's actually historical events that this is kind of wrapped around. Like that's actually something that happened in Japan in the town of Yokohama. Like there's actual Yokohama tires that you can buy in the States now. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I think Japan's culture is intriguing to me anyway. I know you don't go farther east than the Middle East in your themes.
Yeah.
But
5 tribes is as far as I go.
Right.
I love Onitama, so that would be a lie to say that.
But I thought the theme was fun, and I thought thematically the game makes a lot of sense. Like you can go, oh, I'm trying to go around and build up certain things and create different goods and all that stuff and do imports and whatnot. So I enjoyed that part of it myself.
Definitely a really good game. Really enjoyed it.
Definitely. We've got some of our favorite segments coming up here. We're not doing Fire and Ice this month. We'll be back with that, but we are going to fill in the blank. Origins is coming up, and as I mentioned earlier, AJ always comes along with me to Origins. We've been covering that, and even before the blog was a thing, before Theology of Games was a thing, we always went to Origins and spent a lot of money on pirates.
Stupid money.
And bought boxes and boxes of Star Trek trading card game.
Mistake.
And then you get a future Enterprise and sell it. I don't know who would do that.
$8 a booster box of alternate universe. Can't beat it.
Cannot beat it. Like, there's so many cards in a box for $8.
That's right.
Like, back in the day, that was 2 packs. It'd be like $4 a pack.
That's right.
You know? Anyway. So with Origins coming up, today's first fill in the blank is the thing I'm looking forward to most at Origins is...
Is this to me first?
Yeah, you can
You know
go
what?
first.
There are so many things. I'm gonna say 2, but I'm gonna say 2. Here we go. I'm really looking forward to this new game coming out called Hunt for the Ring.
Oh, yes.
And they're just going to be demoing it at Origins, and it's a hidden movement game. So if you think of Whitechapel or I can't remember.
Captain Sonar.
Well, yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And there's that one with
XCOM or not XCOM. I know what you're talking about. It's from Plaid Hat, right?
No, I'm thinking of the Friday night or the Friday. It's the one with Jason. You know, Jason.
Oh, I don't know that one.
From like Friday the 13th.
Plaid Hat has a game. Was it Ghost Ops or something like that? Where it's hidden movement.
Spectre Ops.
Anyway, Spectre Ops. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Hunt for the Ring. It's definitely taking a look at from a different perspective of these hidden movement games. You are the bad guys as a team trying to find Frodo. So you're the Nazgul, and Frodo's on his way from the Shire to Rivendell, and that's basically his flight from the Shire to Rivendell, and you're trying to find him. Now, there's so much more that goes into this game. I mean, I've read a lot about it, but it's just going to be it's taking this hidden movement to a new level that I think we're going to see. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that, and I was like, oh, we're checking that out for sure.
Yeah.
Totally looks cool. So if you ask me, the thing that I'm looking forward to most at Origins is blank. My answer is Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.
Yeah.
I guess a month or so ago now, That's How I Roll, I had Michael Coe on, and we talked about this. It's kind of like the Big Brother version of Tiny Epic Kingdoms. It's a 4X game. It's a miniatures game. It's this big epic game that is just like on the grandest scale ever. And they kickstarted it, and it went wild like they all do. And it looks super awesome. And the cool thing about it is it's this massive scale game. But Michael was telling me the rule book is only like 5 to 8 pages. It's not super heavy. It's not super hard to learn. Some of those 4X games, like, do you remember playing Hegemonic?
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember that. And there's people who love it, so careful what you say.
It truly is. It's a solid game, but it is so heavy.
Yeah.
There are like 17 different battle systems in that game. And like we spent more time reading the rule book than any other game I think I've ever played. But this one, it's the 4X feel, it's the 4X gameplay, but they claim to be much smoother, much more streamlined. And we are set to play that with them Thursday night at some point. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that's going to be cool too, because this is their first game that gets out of that small box environment and gets into something a little bit larger.
Yeah, they did do
Fantasy Frontier, which was a larger box, but everything else has been Tiny Epic or Dungeon Heroes was their first,
yeah. So all of those small kind of format, and it makes sense. They've really kind of built up to the point where they can actually finance something that is a little more beefy in terms of components and things like that. So super looking forward to that. The game that is calling to me the most from my game shelf is...
Oh, definitely the Lord of the Rings LCG. I see this one on Facebook all the time. People are offloading it, they're selling it, and they're probably selling it for the same reason that, I'm talking about it right now. They don't get it to the table because there are so many of these games that they demand you play these campaigns and invest more money and more money. And so unless you're really immersed in the Lord of the Rings theme, like I am, that's my favorite, you'll come to know. But unless you're really immersed in it, there's other games that are calling to you like Pathfinder or, maybe in one of the other LCGs, Imperial Assault. They've got these campaigns that you want to play. But I want to play Lord of the Rings. That was a game that we played a lot of that back in the day. We were loving on that game for a while.
Like we would go weeks and weeks of just playing like campaign after campaign, Yeah, it's been a long time too since we've played it. We need to make that happen because that was a really good time.
Yeah.
And we talked about this in I think it was the last episode. They're coming out with the Mountain of Fire expansion, which is like supposed to be the last saga, or what do they call it? The last...
Not chapter pack. It's different for each one.
But it was the last one that was actually a part of the original storyline. Because some of them are outside of that storyline.
Right.
And this is like supposed to be the last one of those. Anyway, my answer for this one is Zolkin. Fun fact, I got Zolkin for my birthday like 4 years ago, whenever it came out, and it's still in the shrink wrap.
Oh no. Come on.
So sad. Everybody's like, this game is amazing. You gotta play this game. And I'm like, I know, I have it. I haven't played it. It makes me so sad. And I really want to play it someday. Wow. And the other one that I was going to say as a close runner up is Viticulture. I love Viticulture so much. It's so amazing, but I hardly ever get to play it because not many people play heavy worker placement games with me. All right, so that's fill in the blank, and we are going to wrap up this episode with a lightning round.
Here we go.
Now, lightning rounds, we're bad at lightning rounds here, so we'll see if AJ can keep us on course or if we're just going to devolve into what they usually are. So, here we go with lightning round. All right, lightning round. Cavs versus Warriors. Who do you got?
Oh, it's definitely going to be the Cavs, but you can't ask me too much about this because you know me, I'm not a sports fan like you. Now the Browns I follow, and you guys are probably wondering why. I don't know, but the Cavs.
It's something wrong with all of us.
Yeah, so
it's the orange helmet. I don't know.
It's a disease.
It really is.
But I'll tell you, I'm definitely thinking the Cavs are going to win. I think they're going to do it a lot easier than they did last time.
I hope so because I cannot take another 7-game series. I've been saying Cavs in 6, and this is a problem simply because Game 6 is scheduled to be on the night that we are at Origins.
Oh boy.
We're going to Origins on Thursday and Friday, and Thursday night is supposed to be Game 6. This could be a big problem for me. So I hope that I'm wrong in a good way, and they knock them off in 5. But if it goes to Game 7, I'll be okay with that, because then I'll be able to be home and watch it. That being said, I still think it's Cavs in 6, and we'll have a moral dilemma on our hands at Origins.
Not me. I'll be playing Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, hopefully.
I think there's multiple times when I've texted you too, and I'm like, dude, you want to come over and watch the Cavs game? And you're always like, no, I don't care about the Cavs.
Truth.
There was one time, it was like during the playoffs, I'm like, hey, you want to come play games? And you're like, no, I'm watching the Cavs game.
The one time.
Get out of here, you jerk.
Oh, my gosh.
It's so bad. All right. See, lightning rounds aren't lightning rounds. All right. All right, summer plans. What's your summer plans? Obviously, Origins is in there, but what you got going on summer?
Oh, hanging out around the house, doing some yard work. I love being a homeowner, so that's going to be awesome to just keep working on the yard. But we're going to the Outer Banks, too, Rachel and I. We're really excited about that. So anytime you get to go to on a beach vacation, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I can get down with that. We're not really going anywhere. We're going to do a couple like weekend trips here and there. We always go to Idlewild, which is this little cheesy amusement park in Pennsylvania. I don't know, it's cheesy, but it's not cheesy. It's a lot of fun for the boys, and they're super excited to take Violet there for her first time this year, even though she really won't be able to do anything, but it'll be fun. And the pool, hopefully at some point the pool will be open, and we will spend a lot of time in the pool and just hanging out and having fun. A lot of staycation this year, but it'll be awesome. So those are the Isley House summer plans, and always tons of projects to do around this house, because we decided to buy a house that needed completely renovated.
But you didn't tell them the best part about the pool. Let's tell them the best part about your dreams for the pool and the possibility of MST3K.
Oh, yeah. So my ultimate vision, my ultimate goal for the pool is to put in an outdoor movie theater. So I've kind of got it laid out, like where the screen's going to go and where the projector's going to go and all that stuff. So we like to do these things that we call MST3K Mondays, where we get together, people come over, and we watch an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000, which I'm almost through the whole new season, and I'm still actually really enjoying it. That's a side note, but hopefully we'll have the outdoor movie theater up and running, and we'll have lots of fun summer nights out by the pool. Hopefully.
That'll be awesome.
All right, lightning round. What are your surprise, crazy predictions for Star Wars Episode 8?
Oh, come on. I don't have anything.
You don't have anything?
No.
I caught you off guard. So somebody texted me the other day, and they're like, what's a gray Jedi? And I was like, I didn't know. So I think there's something to do with the fact that Luke was wearing a gray robe at the end of Episode 7. So maybe it's like I don't know. I think there's going to be something where instead of like rejecting the dark side, they like try to find balance in the light and the dark side. I don't know. And I think Luke's going to die probably.
You think so?
I think so. I think they're going to kill off like all the old characters, and like Chewie will slip into obscurity somewhere.
That might be a good call.
He'll go back to Kashyyyk with Lumpy and Nala and live out the holiday special for the rest of his life.
Oh no.
That's what I think. But I don't know. I'm excited for it. I hope they don't ruin it. I hope they keep it up, because I really liked Episode 7.
Yeah, it was good.
Last lightning round question is, what is your favorite large group game?
Oh, this one's an easy one. I still love it. It's got to be Citadel's. I don't know who has it now. Fantasy Flight did have it.
I think they still do.
Okay, because they just came out with a re-release with new artwork. You can still buy the old artwork and everything. But Citadel's is a great game, hidden characters, and all the characters get to do things as you turn them over, and it's fantastic as you're building your city and killing people or taking their money it's awesome. And anybody who sits down at the table loves it unless they keep getting killed and killed over and over again. I think that happens to you quite frequently in that game.
Yeah. I think that's why I haven't played that game in a long time.
Best group game to play with Jeremiah, Citadel's.
Yeah. Wow, it's been a while since I've played Citadel's.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but there are times when people are just like, you're dead. I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah.
So that was a good one. If I was going like massive group, I would definitely say like Two Rooms and a Boom, which is a ton of fun. But you really have to have like that 14 to 20 people.
Yeah, you're talking
kind of
big
thing.
group game then.
Yeah.
I think it plays with 6 at the lowest, but still, that's kind of...
You really got to get to 12 to start hitting the sweet spot with it.
Yeah.
I almost want to say Captain Sonar.
Oh, yeah.
Because Captain Sonar, we played that with 8 people, like the full 8, and it was great. But I think I still have to land on the Resistance for a game that you sit at the table and it's a larger group game. Play up to 10 people with it. And like I've literally sat and played with like 8 to 10 people for 2 or 3 hours at a time and not gotten bored with it and had a ton of fun with it the whole time. And it's fun. Like when you play that long, there's like little like side storylines that start happening between people, like whether they're on the same team or not. There's always this stuff that starts going out around the table.
People talking and lying.
Yeah,
and
like, and then you're deliberately trying to screw with each other and like make them think that you're lying or you're not lying and all that kind of stuff. So I'd probably say it's still the Resistance, but
fantastic game.
Yeah. And I think that's going to do it. I think we're going to wrap this one up. Want to thank everybody who took time to listen to our latest episodes. You can always find out more about Theology of Games by going to theologyofgames.com. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Theology of Games, or at facebook.com/Theology of Games. We're always doing something new out there, having fun with that stuff. So please follow us there. If you liked what you heard, please, please, please tell your friends about it. Rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe to us on iTunes. If you didn't like what you heard, tell your enemies about it and make them listen to it just so we can get more downloads.
There you go. Wow, that was good. Have you done that before?
No, I used to do that. I used to do that when we played band shows. I'd be like, if you didn't like what you heard, buy our CD and give it to your enemies. So it's kind of a spin on that.
There you go. It's good.
So anyway, AJ, thanks for joining me.
No problem.
We'll get done here so you can play with the Millennium Falcon that you keep looking at because I know you're enticed by it.
That's awesome. It is awesome. There's this big Millennium Falcon just staring at me.
It's like the big, like 3-foot one that my kids have had forever. For AJ Skifstad, I'm Jeremiah Isley. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is the Theology of Games podcast. You can find us at theologyofgames.com, and we'll see you next time, guys. See you later.
You've been listening to the Theology of Games podcast with Jeremiah Isley and Scott Firestone. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd appreciate your subscription to the podcast and your review on iTunes. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day, and until next time, get a game on the table.